Hello everyone, welcome to Winter Moon Tabletop. My name is Chris. You'll have to please excuse my Crypt Keeper old smoker's man voice because I am just getting over a cold. If I said the word rin-fucked to you, which of these pictures here would you say best relates to the word? If you answered this scribbly ribbon-shaped illustration here, you'd be correct. If your answer was any of these other pictures, you're not technically wrong. They're just not the pictures I personally associated with the word. And that's basically the game of Bouba Kiki in a nutshell. You could call it Boba Kai for all I care. In fact, this game doesn't really care how you pronounce the words. In fact, the more unique and eccentric you pronounce the words, the more hilarious and mind-bending the game becomes. But not everything is fun and games, so put on your lab coat because there's actually some science behind it. According to Wikipedia, the Bouba Kiki effect is a non-arbitrary mental association between certain speech sounds and certain visual shapes. It's the tendency for people, when presented with the nonsense words Bouba and Kiki, to associate Bouba with a rounded shape and Kiki with a spiky shape. Now, just so you have a little bit more context, let me take a brief moment to explain kinda how you play the game. Players will start with a hand of 5 cards, and on one side is a random nonsensical word. On the other side is an abstract line drawing. In the standard mode of play, there will be 3 cards drawn from the deck, one at a time, by the starting player. As each card is drawn, the starting player says the random word out loud for all players to hear. The pronunciation decided by the first player is the declared pronunciation for the round. The starting player then decides on an illustration in their own hand that best associates with one of the words they drew. Now, during this phase, there's no communication of any kind. You have to sit silently and consider how your friends and family may be thinking. The other players will then secretly vote on which word they think best associates with the illustration shown. If the other players guessed correctly, they will collectively move the success marker 1 place toward the 0 on the player board for each success. If a player guessed wrong, the miss marker is moved 1 space toward the 0 for each player that guessed wrong. If the miss marker reaches the 0 before the success marker, all players lose. I gotta say, for a game that is really simple and quick to play, there's a surprising amount of depth to how it's played. And the group you play with will determine just how serious you take it. It actually reminds me a lot of that game, The Mind, where you're actually trying to read each other's thoughts, play a card in the proper order. But in Bouba Kiki, you'll be trying to understand how your friends and family think and view the world, which can be just as rewarding and beautiful as it is fun. If the hundreds of combinations of words and illustrations aren't enough replay value for you, then the various scenarios to play through will be. Bouba Kiki offers a type of campaign mode that you can play after you're familiar with the standard game. In the campaign mode, you'll have to meet certain objectives and abide by restrictions in order to claim a win. Now, before I wrap up, I just want to give you my unscripted sort of review thoughts on this game as a whole. I really like that this game is simple to teach and understand and get going. It doesn't take much time at all to get this game to the table, learn it, and play it. My friend and I were playing for this review and learning the game, and then my wife came in late, and we taught her how to play in probably less than 60 seconds, and she had it, and we were off and going. I like how you can kind of customize this game. It may not seem like that at first, but you can change the difficulty kind of at whim, depending on where you place the success and miss cubes on this tracker board here. You can make it easier or more difficult on your group. So if you're a group that thinks you know each other really well, you could make it really harder by making the numbers closer to the finish line and starting on 4 or 5. I think that, combined with the number of cards and different combinations and the scenarios, already adds a great deal of replay value. And it would be interesting to see what kind of house rules other players can come up with for a game like this. It just seems very open concept, which is really interesting, and I enjoy that a lot. One bit of criticism I guess I would add about the game is that it does feel like sometimes, even if you think you are on to like the train of thought of your friends, you're just way off. Like the card, words and the illustrations are so just abstract that it just is almost impossible to guess what they're trying to think. And it feels sometimes like you're just throwing out a random guess. So I think the obvious positive trade-off, though, to that is that you're not playing this game for very long. You're playing it for 15, 20 minutes. But if you play with the same group and you're a close group of friends that know each other really well, maybe try to challenge, the knowledge you have of each other, I think that's where this game kind of shines. Now, considering everything that I experienced in this game, I'm gonna go ahead and give Bouba Kiki an 8 out of 10. I personally love The Mind, and The publishers and I think the designers have also credited this game with being similar to Dixit, which I did feel like it was very similar to Dixit. And those are two great games in my opinion. I think that you're going to have a lot of fun with Bouba Kiki. And for nothing else, it really does kind of appeal to that sort of science nerd in me. Bouba Kiki, designed by Jonathan Schaefer and published by Grand Gamers Guild, launches on Kickstarter soon. You can follow their page and get notified on launch with the link in the description of this video. And speaking of following, please consider subscribing and liking this channel, because I can't do this without you. I love producing content. It's what I do for a living. I have this beautiful studio, so I gotta get it used more. We're gonna have a lot more games actually in the Grand Gamers Guild lineup. I have them upstairs and they're ready to go, so I'm excited to get those to the table and show you those very, very soon. Thank you to the Grand Gamers Guild for this review copy of the game and the opportunity to cover it on the channel. And because I have this beautiful space, I wanna feature your games here on this table. So if you wanna send me your game, please reach out to me at cb@wintermoongames.com. This video is sponsored by Refocus Creative, expert video production and multimedia marketing, which also happens to be my business. But it does produce these videos and I do this on the side. So if you want a high quality, professional video produced for your game, please shoot me a message. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you next time.